Hey, what's up, guys? Where we got the Toyota 86 Mosport. These were good conditions. 18C for the ambient, 19C for the track. My laps here. This is my third 30-minute session, practice session that I took these recordings on. Pretty much can run in the 31s with these conditions. I think I did a session the other day. It was like 22, 23C. And I was just getting down to 32 flat, but mostly running like 32.2, 32.3. So both conditions are pretty optimal. But if we do get conditions that are these temps, we're going to see fast times. So it's the default iRacing date. I did a session start time of 7 a.m. because I think our session starts at sunrise 5:50. So if you're doing this like an official race, it's going to be much warmer temperatures. So I'd expect probably a second slower on lap times if you're practicing on the default settings. All right, so you can see I ran some fast lap early, and I also got one late. So I did pit on this lap here, lap 15, and the front left tire was like 75%, I think, 77%. So you can do fast laps on this with wear on the tires. Um, I'm sure you could destroy them and not do fast laps, but if you're, I mean, I drove aggressive. I drove 14 quali laps in this session. So the tires will last for our 20-minute races or 15-minute races. So a couple things really quick before we get into the video. The This car here, very sensitive on brakes. Everything is, you're not more than like 50% brake pressure if you have to do any steering inputs at all. So all your hard braking has to be done in a straight line. The car trail brakes fine. It has an open rear diff, so if you hit curbs and stuff, with the fixed setup, you get traction control kick on. It does funky things. It's hard to save slides, oversteer slides off throttle, or with medium throttle, unless you like. I just totally come off the throttle. Put in your steering, your counter steering inputs as fast as you can and come off the throttle. It's the only way to save it because the car with the open diff is really unpredictable. Open diff plus some traction or stability control. You can really get out of shape fast if you take too much curbing. And you can hit curbs in this car. You just have to be mindful of how you're doing it when you're getting back to throttle. If you stay flat the whole time over a curb and lift tires, when the car comes down, it's going to be unpredictable how it's going to react. So practice using curbing and how to apply the throttle. I'd say if you're going up high on curbs, you should, not be at 100% throttle. That's pretty much it. So I'll let this lap play through, and I'll pause it anytime that I see something that I wanted to point out. But just one more tip in this car: you always have to have some throttle input. Like just like driving a Miata, like you have to keep your V-min speeds in corners up. So if you come completely off throttle in a spot that you can use 30% throttle, it's going to be a tenth on exit or 2/10 on exit. So that's big in this car, is maintaining some throttle, so maintenance throttle, if you will. Um, you know, After entry at apex on exit, even if you can't go flat. This car does respond well to a little lift off throttle, then right back to throttle if you don't think you're going to make the corner exit. But you have to always be on throttle as early as you can, in a low horsepower car like this. So let's let it roll. That's just a lift for turn one. This left-hander up here may be just a lift, but I do use the brake to keep the front settled. Again, like I said, these are quali laps, so I am helter-skelter through Moss Corner pretty much every time through. But again, maintaining your... You see my cursor? I don't think so. There we go. So maintaining like your V-min from like here to here makes a big difference. So, I mean, it's hard not to overslow here because you don't want to go off, but you got to figure out a way to get off the brakes maybe for a little bit up here just to roll some more speed through. But we'll see. Inputs there were super erratic through that corner. There we go. All right, so let's rewind really quick while we're here. You can see what happens to the car when I go over this curbing. So he kind of gets bouncy when it lands with that open diff. So I did straighten the wheel a little bit to keep it from going into a weird overslide situation where the traction control kicks in. Alright, so let's look really quick at my fast lap late. Look at throttle input here. Never come completely off the throttle on this lap. I just a lift. This is late with worn tires too. So through Moss here, I'm just trying to get the car square. I'm trying to get the car square right here so I can turn in and get back on throttle as soon as possible. If you have to overslow, you know, from like here to here, that's okay. But just make sure you can set yourself up so as the car starts coming down this hill, you can go back to wide open throttle. If you hit this curb on the inside, some funky things can happen. The car won't bounce out into the grass. Well, it might. It depends on the angle you hit it. So you can use this curb if you want to, but you shouldn't because it's pretty unpredictable on the landing. Again, into this corner here, it's gently off throttle, rolling as much speed as you can, and then a gentle brake. There's a pocket of camber up against the right-hand curbing on the second part of this corner. So barely any brake input, rolling off throttle gently. There is a pocket of camber right along the bottom of this curbing that if you catch it right, you can go back to throttle. I mean, I guess you could try to trail brake all the way through here, but I feel like getting back on throttle for this little straight is helpful. And then here, probably turning in a little bit early. I tend to do that here. It's not necessarily the fastest way through. But again, you want to get the car square at least after the curbing ends to set up for the next corner. This is more of a throwaway corner, but you can roll a lot of speed through here if you do it right with a little bit of trail brake. And then here, you can either lift early or use a little bit of brake. I do prefer to use the brake here to get the car rotated just a little bit. All right, and for anyone who wants to see a chase, I will just let that lap play through again on the chase, and then I'll kill the video. So that'll be it for tonight. Take note of splits if you want over here. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I'll see you guys. See you guys later this week.